Well, Ohio residents near that site of that toxic train disaster are now demanding answers after being told it's safe to return home because the EPA says it hasn't detected unsafe levels of toxins since the cleanup, but they're saying that thousands of fish have died in nearby waters. ABC's Alex Prochet has the latest now from Ohio.
Hey, Kira. Yeah, residents in East Palestine are being told it's safe to return home, but there's still lingering questions about potential contaminants from that train derailment. The state health director recommending people in the community consider using bottled water. And take a look at this. Surveillance video obtained by ABC News shows a train about 20 miles outside of East Palestine less than an hour before that 50-car derailment. The NTSB believes those sparks are from what appears to be a wheel bearing in the final stage of overheat failure. Norfolk Southern says with the EPA, it has completed more than 115 in-home air tests and that none have detected any of the substances related to the incident. It says it's conducted more than 400 tests total. Yet officials are reporting that 3,500 fish across 12 different species have died in Ohio's waterways, and some residents report their pets, including cats and chickens, have died. In East Palestine, these gas detectors dot the town. And now consumer advocate Erin Brockovich, who fought for clean groundwater in her California town, has stepped in to help. And Kira, the governor here says he understands the community's anger. There's going to be a town hall tonight, and Kira is expected to be spirited.
All right, Alex, thank you so much. And for more, Ben Ratner, who lives in East Palestine, Ohio, and lives within the 1-mile radius of the location of this train derailment, was actually forced to evacuate with his wife, Lindsay, and their 4 kids. We're going to be talking to him as soon as we are able to connect with him via Zoom, and it looks like we've got him now. So, Ben, first off, when did you and your family actually get to return back to your home?
Yeah, so we returned Saturday. The order was lifted on Thursday, and it's been a little interesting trying to navigate being back.
I could just imagine. I mean, you spoke with our Brad Milkey on ABC's Start Here podcast, and you told him when the initial derailment happened, you could actually taste a mix of gasoline, paint thinner, nail polish remover. Has that subsided?
Yeah, it's that was initially early on. It definitely was in the air leading into the evacuation being lifted. But after that controlled blast, it was definitely in the air. And I know a few people that live closer to the incident, and they have the waterways in their backyard. And when it's hot or warmer or sunny, they can smell the water, and they're really being careful about letting their dogs outside.
Wow. So how are you and your 4 kids feeling now? What are your worries, concerns? Are any of you feeling anything respiratory-wise or nausea or some of these other symptoms that people have complained about?
Early on, my wife and I did have some throat irritation. Could have been more so from being in the area with the smoke and things like that. Recently, it hasn't been so much the issues with the blast or the smoke or the chemicals. It's going to be long-term with there's an unbelievable amount of oils that were spilled as well. So not only is there a chemical spill, but there's an oil spill, and that's in the list of things that came out from the EPA and Norfolk Southern. The other thing is, like you said, the advisors from the Ohio Health saying that they would do bottled water for right now. But what are we supposed to shower in? What are we supposed to use for washing our dishes? What are we supposed to use to feed animals? I was giving my kids blueberries last night, and I was like, oh, got to grab the bottled water and wash those out in the sink. And that's something that's going to be really difficult to try to navigate. What levels of safety or concern is there, especially if the health advisor and governor himself said that they'd be drinking bottled water at this point. What are we going to shower in?
So how are you getting updates about those types of things, right? Because those are daily needs.
Yes. So that yesterday they finally said that they would be starting daily updates. They wouldn't be news conferences every time. But that's something that we're 12 days into this, and we're just now starting updates. And there's only been yesterday was the 3rd news conference that involved the governor. And I know people are trying their best, but I think it took a little while for people to actually take it seriously. And part of the problem is because Norfolk Southern controls the narrative early on when these things happen. And the bigger issue, too, is with this oil and other contaminants, they just threw gravel over top of it and started running trains again already. So whenever they talk about VOCs in the air, they really need to be testing when trains are coming through and things are being released from those gravel mounds. It's just, there's dozens and dozens of melted train cars still sitting along the tracks but it's really important for them to be running these trains because they can't miss their deadlines and things like that. So they're already coming through town, and who knows if the cleanup is 100% done the way the EPA wanted.
Wow. Okay, what about the air that you're breathing? Are you seeing any types of, I don't know, air filters or any kind of machinery anywhere in the area where you guys are going outside and trying to go to work and just live your daily life?
Yeah, luckily we do work a couple towns over, so it's not something we do get breaks. We do get breaks from it during the day, but there are several monitors, especially closer to the zone, where they have they're called stationary, I guess, where they're in certain locations. I think the thing is the air and the types of chemicals themselves were more gas-based chemicals, like the vinyl chloride. I think was transported in the form of frozen gas. So those things are going to dissipate from the air very quickly, and I think that's part of the reason why the focus is in all these air tests, because that's positive, and that's a great thing. I'm not taking that away from the situation, but the focus needs to be more on soil and water. There's been 2 updates to the water test since there was the 4th, and then I believe one on the 12th. And with the one on the 4th, is the one I'm more familiar with, there were 3 chemicals that were at unsafe levels. And then there hasn't been any updates from soil. During the meeting yesterday, the conference yesterday, they talked about soil. They said they were going to be pulling samples. I don't understand why the samples haven't been pulled yet, and I don't understand why there's no results of the soil samples. It's a big deal. 1 tanker of the petroleum lube oil that spilled, and there were 5 total, 2 unaccounted for. 1 tanker can contain up to 30,000 gallons of volume, and 2 of them are unaccounted for. So does that mean that there's 60,000 gallons of petroleum lube oil in our local soils and potentially in our waterways? It's a scary thought.
Right, and there have been reports from residents saying they can see sheen in the water, and that's a big concern for them. You know, I was looking at this. You and your father were actual extras in the Netflix film White Noise, is that right? Which actually tells a story of a train crash that unleashes environmental havoc on a small Ohio community. I mean, this seems a bit surreal.
Yeah, especially the part I actually haven't seen the movie, and the part you're showing there, I started watching it. I saw it when it first came out. I started watching it after all this, and I actually stopped it before it got to those scenes. It's actually very eerie that the rail cars, they really got how they zigzag after they wrecked. The only difference with this was it didn't collide with another vehicle, but there was, what they called an airborne toxic cloud from the book and from the film, and it definitely was the same situation here, and it's eerie.
Wow. Well, Ben, please keep in touch with us if you don't mind. Just give us regular updates. We'd sure like to follow up with you and see what's happening in the area.
Thanks for covering it. I really appreciate it.
Of course. We'll stay on it, Ben. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.